Properties paying for themselves. You know what? 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's very rare you get an environment where you borrow all the money and it pays for itself. Let's unpack properties paying for themselves.
Properties paying for themselves. There's cash in the back pocket of this person. Serious cash. Over to you, Mark. It's nice to have you in person.
Who, me?
Yeah.
This is rare.
This is very rare.
This is rare. So landlords watching, and also owner-occupiers. I like the owner-occupiers because often people think they can't afford what they want to buy, so they just abstain. They just don't buy at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to buy the 3-bedroom house. We've got 2 kids. I want to buy the 3-bedroom house. We've got 2 kids. 10 years goes by, you bought nothing. So it would be wiser to buy a little 1-bedder, 2-bedder, just get into the market.
Yeah.
And then fulfill that dream after 5 or 10 years to get in the house because you've built equity into that little 1 or 2-bedroom unit.
Yeah.
So this is relevant to investors. It's relevant to people that are trying to get to the end game of the property that they want, and then having a couple of 1 or 2 investments to get into that.
Agreed. But more importantly, we're here to talk about property that is affordable. Property is not an impossible goal to reach. And we're here to tell you why and how it's doable. You can actually own a property for not a lot of money at all in terms of weekly expense.
Yeah.
Is that right, or is that right?
Well, we went through one today in Pacific Parade.
Yeah.
Little puppy, $650.
Yeah.
Rent will be probably $500.
Yeah.
Let's do the maths.
Let's do the maths. Yeah, the current tenants are paying slightly below market value. Build a calculator up.
Yep.
Yeah, they're paying $430 a week. Little 1-bedroom, unrenovated. You know, for a person looking to buy this, they probably put a little bit of work into the kitchen.
Yep.
Bathroom maybe as well when the time's right. But let's say you bought this for $700 and that leaves you a little bit of money to do your renovations as well.
We'll just say 600 because we're trying to make it look good on screen.
Well,
600 grand,
okay.
2.5%. I've done the calcs already. 600 grand, 2.5%, 15, which is interest only. 15 G bangers. So you're going to have to pay the bank 15 grand plus strata, water, council, probably another 2 or 3, 18 grand.
Yep.
If you're going to rent it at 500 a week,
25 Gs.
you're positively geared.
Positive
In DY,
geared.
after this crazy property market, after these crazy interest rate rise claims, even today still, you can buy a property in DY and it's positively geared, and you're still borrowing. I think I did that on 600. If you're buying it for 650, putting in 60, you're still borrowing 90%.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And that's a little 1-bedroom. We've got a couple of other properties to show you tonight that are what we call the cash cow, that are the ultimate investment, that give fantastic rental yields locally in Sydney, in DY.
Which one's cash cow?
34 Arthur Street.
Cash cow. Look at this. Read this and wait. Okay, where are we? I know up here.
Can't get rid of that. Hang on.
There you go. Get rid of that, Billy boy.
So
Okay, look at this.
2 side-by-side townhouses in Arthur Street. What a great location. What's unique about this is that actually they've got double street access.
Yes.
2-sided access
Look at these.
off Arthur Street, off Maranui Avenue in DY.
It's very hard, Billy. I'm just trying to. I've got to go the opposite direction. Yeah, so you can see it's mirrored. Left is a 3-bedder, right is a 3-bedder. Left has 2 bathrooms, right has 2 bathrooms. Left has a lounge room, right has a lounge room. It's 2 houses. They are Siamese twins. They're the DY twins, 2 townhouses. No strata levies. It's all on one title. This is good like for a brother and sister and their kids, like Schnez. Who's watching? And
But you have to get along with them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the big thing. So, okay, let's look at that. Let's break this one down, guys. So, 34 Arthur. Say you buy it for the guide's 2.6. Let's say 2.6.
Yep.
Interest only again. Drum roll. I've got drum roll
We can
here.
actually do a drum roll. Yeah.
Yeah. So $2.6 million. How much are you going to borrow? $2 million.
Yeah.
If you're going that much, either one of you have got a unit or you both got.
Well, let's say it's 300 grand
Sell.
each.
correct.
Yeah.
So it's going for
300 grand each.
$2 million you're going to borrow at 2.5%. 50 grand a year. 50 grand a year is the
cheap.
interest if you're buying that.
Cheap.
Cheap. How much are you renting it for, Billy Bob, Billy Bo?
We know one site's already rented for 700. That tenant's been in there 17 odd years, so really, really long time.
Give me a bit of a rub.
That's definitely under market value, just purely as a great tenant and the longevity of his lease. But yeah, closer to $900 a week. They really don't need much work as well.
Okay, so 800
That's conservative for a 3-bedroom
times 2
townhouse.
because there's 2 of them. Times 52 because there's 52 weeks. 83 grand a year.
And that's conservative.
Yeah. So did I get excited?
Yeah, you'll smile.
So that's a cracker. 34 Arthur, Siamese twins, left one, right one, $2 million loan. Boom, it's going to pay for itself. Actually, if you borrow the 2.6, I reckon it would still be positively geared.
Yeah.
Let me do the maths.
So is there any property that's, a bad investment then? Because if you're not out of the pocket in cash on a week-to-week basis, you take advantage of the capital growth. I'm not seeing the downside here.
Nah. Look, even if you're borrowing, what happened there? Even if you're borrowing the whole amount, Kiddly Wings, I can't do it. It's 65 grand.
Yeah.
Interest.
Yeah.
Strata Water Council, bit of land tax, should be right, mate. Time of Kangaroo Done Sport. Property can still be positively geared with the current interest rates, with the current prices.
That's it. We sat upstairs off air. There's no such thing as quick money in property, but there's certainly good money to be made in property.
Famous quote, guys. We were pretty chuffed today because we got a little tile made up for ourselves, and it goes a little bit something like this. Check this out. In. See that? What does that say?
Not the stock market. Real estate is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient.
Again?
Do you like how it's taking me out of?
Yeah, I like that.
Real estate, not the stock market, is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Said by yours truly, Warren Buffett. Smart man. But I love that. I really do.
You know what? It's really interesting because if the one common denominator with landlords that have done really, really well with us, it's definitely patience. These guys have got patience of a saint when it comes to property. They're not selling it, trading it in and out of it. Transactional cost is way too much.
Yep.
I know you want to do a topic which is about, does the government want us to sell?
Or which government? Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, no, that was another
Labor,
topic.
Liberal.
Yeah.
They're really the winners. When you look at capital gains tax, they tax you on the way out. And when you look at stamp duty, they tax you on the way in. They want you to trade. Real estate agents, they want you to trade.
Yeah.
They click a ticket when you sell. They click a ticket when you bought through the seller. So these guys want you to make a trade. You don't trade, you're going to be the winner.
And you don't need to sell to do well out of it. You can leverage that equity in the home if you've been sitting on your existing property for a while and get it working for you.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the grey area people forget.
It's the grey area, but where you've got to be spectacular these days is lending the money rather than buying the property. So it used to be the magic buy, the magic click. Now, the longer you hold it, gear, loan, keep going, seems to be they're the guys that I'm seeing with us, look, we're not a financial advisors, but we're making observations. The landlords that do that are generally the guys that have got a couple more properties than everyone else. They
Yeah.
live a little bit.
But you don't need to cash out to do well. You don't need to sell the property to use the equity that you've built.
Nice.
That's maybe people forget that maybe.
That's a 19-year-old talking. What a weapon. What a well-educated young. Now, honestly, and Billy, you've done it yourself. You've purchased property yourself. You know what? You'd be a really good advocate, and I'd invite anyone that has their kids or families. We should do a night to talk about how to get your kids to buy a property. Get Billy up there.
I'm passionate about it because it's a dream that many people think it's simply too hard to obtain. It's quite the opposite. You don't need a big salary to own a property. You don't need to be forking out lots of money to own a property each week. And you just need the right people behind you, and you take advantage of all the wonderful things it's got to offer.
People that are out there. What else? What other properties can we actually talk about that are good buys, Billy?
Well,
Billy Boy?
we've covered the ultimate entry level apartment in DY. We've covered the ultimate investor opportunity. Let's do your standard family home, 92 Toronto Avenue. Something the family might want to look to upsize into.
Yep. As investment, so what are we doing today? Properties paying for themselves.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at Toronto. All right, I got it. Talk to me.
Toronto Avenue, family home. It's got the pool.
Yep.
Great neighborhood. Lovely address. How much is that costing you to afford to make that next step up of it? So we've got 4 bedrooms, 2 living zones. As I said, a fantastic outdoor area, plenty of parking. It's a real perfect family home. Guide of 235 to 255 on there, or 245. Sorry. What's that costing you if you're going to borrow the full whack? Let's say 2.5.
Same as the other one, 80. Times 0.25%, 62 Gs.
That's not. You'd be paying the same in rent. You'd be paying the same in rent each year.
1,192.
Yeah. Why pay rent when you can pay for yourself?
You know what? You probably get less than 2.5% interest rate because that's an investor rate, interest only.
Yeah.
Owner-occupier rate, you get less.
That's the take-home message for tonight. Why pay rent when you can pay for your own mortgage?
It's just, to be honest with you guys, we honestly hear trials and tribulations where people think before they've checked. They think that it's not possible before they've even spoken with a broker.
Yeah.
Or they've spoken with a bank, not a broker. Sometimes the banks have a certain policy. They've banked with the person for 20 years. They trust them. They're not going to go anywhere else. But you speak to a broker and they're like, hang on a sec, I've got 12 other options, 12 other different ways that we can get loans approved.
Yeah. You
don't fit into that option that you've already tried, but you do fit into this. So I really encourage people to have a really good go. And it's definitely a broker job, and it's definitely getting the finance job to get into the right home. Even more important than selecting the right home at the moment.
Well, that's it, because we've just shown you 3 different styles of property that are all having the same numbers once you've crunched it down. Another interesting thing, we had Shore Financial on the last week to do a little bit of a talk to us, just a bit more education.
That was
really
good.
Fantastic.
That was good.
I mean, that deserves another episode on its own.
Yep.
But they were saying people who have been with the banks, existing customers, you'd think for 20 years you'd be on the best deal possible.
Yes.
It's not the case. You're actually being taken advantage of because you're not seeing you're not seeing the competitivity in the market.
You're not getting the sharpest rate.
And they were advising, you talk to a broker, see what, rates are available every 3 years.
I think you said every 3 to 4 years you should be checking up on your rate with your bank, getting another bank behind it to check it,
Yeah.
make sure it's there. So and sometimes your existing bank will just come to the party because you've been so good at checking up on them.
Yeah.
But absolutely necessary. He said that generally there was always 0.1% on the table interest rate savings by being hungry and checking that stuff.
And that's not to say big changes are needed every 3 years. It's simply just revisiting it. That's
Look at this, guys. Look at this one. Look at this puppy. Look at this puppy. 250,000. Now, guys, I'm always hearing that it's too hard to get into the property market. It's impossible and you don't have a deposit. Guess what? That's crap. You can get your super to borrow money and buy something like this, currently rented. An office, a little puppy, there it is there. Look at that. Little fella. All right. Now, with that, figures, man. A lot of say you're putting your super in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Say you got paid 70 G's a year.
Yeah.
And for 10 years you had to put some of your super in. So you put in say 9%, just say 10%, so it's easy. So 7.
Yep.
You plug 70K in the last 10 years, but no, you're 40. So you've probably plugged another 70 and you got paid a little bit more. So you got 140 there. Yeah, you can actually go to a bank and ask for a loan. So you can, if you've got 140, you can ask for another 140 for a loan and say, there's the investment property I want to buy. You point and shoot them to something like that. They do you a loan and you buy the property. And it's positively geared. So every single time, there it is there on the close to the beach. And there it is there, the one in pink there up top. Everyone knows it above Aussie Homelands. But, they're going to give you the money for stamp duty because you're 150, you've got 150 you borrowed, now you've got 300 Gs. They're going to give you the money for stamp duty. You're going to borrow the money, it's going to pay itself off, and then all of your super, until further notice, you can just plow in to paying that property off. And rather, you've got your own nest egg, you can drive past every day and go, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine.
And it's working for you.
Yeah.
Not costing you anything.
Yeah. And probably less than the fees that you're paying your super at the moment. Now, I'm not an advisor for finance, but that I've seen people do that, and I've got to let you know, people are doing that. Property just like that. Property, people on modest wages, 50, 60 grand a year, off they go. Because it compounds after a long time. It is possible.
It's possible. You just need to talk to the right people. I think the secret herbs and spices don't get shared enough. Secret herbs and spices don't get shared enough. But we're talking about very normal property, very normal incomes. You just need to know what to do with it.
Anything else you want to add? Putting more money in your back pocket.
If you
properties paying for themselves.
Yeah, if you get onto the right properties, you're going to have a pocket full of cash, a lot bigger than that one.
That's it. And I think also talk to people that are actually doing it or done it. So if you've got a family friend that's used their super to purchase a property, if you've got a family friend that's used equity to purchase a property, if you've got family friend that's got more than one property, you can talk to them about investing.
Yep.
Or got a property. Generally don't talk to someone who doesn't have a property that may not have the best advice for you.
Yeah.
You know what? An animal broker, an animal accountant, an animal solicitor, having those 3 guns on your side are directly going to help you do business easier, because there's sometimes in the heat of things, there's hundreds of moving parts when you're buying a property, and to have really good accountant, really good solicitor, good agent, good broker, it just takes a lot of pain away. So if you do need people, reach out. We can refer the best to you guys in the business.
It's in here. Swing by Novak HQ.
Oh, look at that. The best of the best. There you go.
I got that out in a,
solicitor,
I got this out in a
banker,
meeting today, and they were like, "Oh my god."
broker, value arc. These guys are the best of the best. We've spent years finding the best, and there's the best right there for free. We don't get a clip out of that at all. We purely refer them because they're wonderful people. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Have a good evening. We're rolling the outro. Bye.
I rolled it early, eh? See you guys. Love you.